Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the 5-star reads I've read so far in winter of 2023 leading into 2024. That means they are my 5-star reads from December, January, and February. I have been doing these seasonal videos for I think over a year now, so I can link the ones that I've done down below. It's just fun to reflect on the season that's passed and how many 5-star reads I had and what my absolute favorites were. Don't think I had a ton, but I will say it's easier now because now on Instagram, if you don't follow me, I will link it down below. I always share in my stories my reading updates, and so every time I finish a book, I'll update it in my stories, and I have now started putting if it's a 5-star read or not. So moving forward, this video is going to be a lot easier to do, so I am excited for that. But I only have to get through December and remember what I had thought, but I have read some really good things that I completely forgot about, so we're going to go ahead and get started. In December, I don't know how many I've read, but we'll just go ahead and go through this list. I don't know if this was like officially a 5-star read, but I loved this so much as my first cozy mystery, and that is the 12 Slays of Christmas. I don't think I loved a single Christmas romance I read in December, and that's why I kind of got burnt out on them because I was reading them and I was like, they're fine. They're like 3.5, 4-star reads. This was a cozy mystery that I read. It was one of my first cozy mysteries. I read it for the Teacups and Murder, I think, book club that Samantha and Spencer run together, and they invited me to be a co-host for that month or that season. They do, I think, every like spring, summer, fall, and winter they do a book club, and they read this one and it was so good. The heroine's family owns a Christmas tree farm, and this lady was causing all this drama because she's very focused on like keeping things up to par to the historical society, and so she was like making a lot of people mad, and she ends up dead, and her father is one of the people they think might have like killed her, one of the suspects. So she teams up with the local sheriff to try to figure out who did it, and she actually has a romance with the sheriff, and it is so cute. Like the romance really sold me on this book, and they're trying to figure out who killed this lady, and I had so much fun. It was kind of like spooky too. There were some dangerous things this suspect was doing to her to try to scare her off, and it was a little scary for a cozy mystery, but I had so much fun. I listened to the audiobook. I even have book 2 downloaded now. It is literally the end of February, and I'm like, I want to read a Christmas cozy mystery, so I might actually read book 2 soon. Then right after that, I read Poison Roses by Jamin Eve and Tate James. This book I didn't shut up about for like the entire month of December. This is a Why Choose. It is a rock star romance, and I've talked about this so much, so I've like sound like a broken record, but she is on the run from an ex who's pretty much part of the mafia, and she literally runs into one of the heroes who is part of a band that her other ex is a part of, who hates her because she left him in the past for someone else for a reason, and he literally named the band after her and writes like every breakup song, hate song about her. And so she runs into one of the bandmates, and he is like, I'm gonna like help you, like, are you okay? Like love at first sight. He's like, oh my god, like you, like I'm in love with you. And so she stays with him, and then it's going to be a romance between her and 3 of the guys in the band. That's all I know, though. I've only read book 1. I need to continue on. I obviously bought the full series, haven't finished it yet, but action-packed, rock stars, Why Choose? I'm obsessed. Rereads do not count. I'm not going to do 4.5-star reads either. I reread Crescent City, which does not count. I gave a bunch 4.5 stars. I will go ahead and add Season of Secrets by QB Tyler as a 5-star read. I really did love this book. This one is a boss-employee romance. She's a secretary and he's older, but he has had a thing for her since the moment she walked in an interview, and he's never done anything. He's like, I'm not allowed to. I can't be with her. And at a Christmas party, it's like kind of Christmassy, kind of not. At a Christmas party, he finally is like, why don't you come home with me? And she's like, yeah, sure. And it is their romance, and he literally is like, I will give you my credit card, I will take care of you, like I love you, I will do anything for you, and I loved it so much. So that one, I think it was a 4.5, but it counts as a 5-star since I only have 2 other ones from this month. I did finish the Elle Thorpe series, but those are more like 4.5-star reads. I don't know if I gave Solitary Sinners a 5-star, I don't think I did, but like I said, this was a while ago. Everything else though, nothing else was a 5-star read in December. How disappointing. But we're gonna go into January, because January I really liked the reads I had. So in January, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 5-star reads and a bunch of 4.5. So I was determined to read for me in 2024, and I for sure did that in January. So the first one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. The way I'm obsessed with this romance, and I'm telling everybody to read it, it's a romantasy. It is a kind of tournament style where the hero and heroine meet. She has no powers, and in this world, if you don't have powers, you're literally murdered, because it is said that you like nullify the powers of other people, she has hidden her whole life. She basically acts like she's psychic, even though she's not. She just uses her ability to like observe things, to know things. And so she ends up saving the life of the hero, who he is like the king's assassin, and he's sent to kill people who are powerless. And his power is to use other people's powers around him. And he's like, why can't I feel your power? And she's like, oh, it's just like really, really weak because it's just like a mind power. And so then both of them are taken to be in this tournament that's basically like to be the king's champion. And it's really just like entertainment to fight to the death. And so they have to compete together, and it is so good. It is so good. I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with the romance. I had so many moments where I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And the ending, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. If you want a new romantasy to love, read this one. Okay, and then moving along to my amazing reading month, I read Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. This is a Why Choose. If you can't tell, I am so into Why Choose right now. It is a Why Choose dragon shifter romance, and this is super quick. It's like a 7-hour audiobook. All the characters have different narrators, so there's like 5 heroes, I think, 5, and they all have a different narrator. Oh my gosh, and it's like the elite group of male narrators. So good. And the heroine, her parents were murdered when she was little. She was put into foster care, starts her first day at college, and one of the heroes is a football player, and he meets her and he's like, why do you smell different? And he immediately knows what she is. He's like, where's your protection? And she's like, what, everyone needs a bodyguard to get to class? And so he's like, oh, haha, and then like goes and tells his brothers. So it's him, a professor at the school, his twin brother, Viking, like very damaged, very quiet guy, and then a like billionaire club owner guy, and they all are falling for her and figuring out that there are dragon shifters and she's got magic too, and it's so good. So good. I ate it up. There's a cliffhanger. I can't wait for the next book. I think it comes out in April. I can't wait. This is so good. I actually had 8. This one blends in with the cover. The next one I read was Requiem by Callie Hart. This one is like a very desperate romance, very angsty, and I was so obsessed with this book. This one, the heroine is determined to kill the hero because she thinks that he is responsible for her friend dying. And all she remembers from that night is like them in a car together. And that car crash killed her best friend. So she's like, I need to murder him because he murdered my best friend. And she is part of this like weird training assassin kind of program and is going undercover at the boarding school that he lives at, this like very interesting boarding school. And she starts school there, and it's her romance with the guy she's supposed to kill. It is so good, and I have never read a romance like this. It's so unique, and there's just a desperate quality to how desperately in love with her he is. I literally love this book so much. If you have not read it yet, please do. Then I listened to the audiobook in one day of Loving Romeo by Laura Pavlov, and I loved this book so much. This one, our heroine is opening her own bakery. She actually comes from a really wealthy family, and her family's annoyed that she's not taking their help for her bakery, but she really wants to do it on her own. And her brother is a recovering addict, and she keeps on giving him chance after chance, and her family is like, you don't know the extent of what he's done, like, don't put yourself in danger around him. But she is constantly like sacrificing things for herself or her brother, and the hero hates her and her family because something that happened in the past, and she has no idea. She just knows that he hates her, and he has a gym around the corner from her bakery coffee shop, and she also went to school for nutrition, and so he is about to train to be in a big like MMA fight, and he hasn't fought in a long time, but this person kept on taunting him, and the media has hyped it enough that he's like, okay, if I get paid a lot, sure, I'll do it. So he is training, and she actually starts helping him with his diet. So it's very much like hate to friend to love, and he has these self-defense classes that he helps teach at his gym, and she's like, can I sign up for those? And he's like, who hurt you? Oh my gosh, it was so good. And I loved like the lead up to the fight, and there could have been like a really annoying third act breakup, and there wasn't. I just loved the whole pacing of this book. I really loved how much of a conflict there was at the end still, with the romantic suspense that was thrown in there a little bit, and also with the fight that they were coming up against, and it was just so addicting. I loved it. 5 stars. You have to read this one. Okay, I lied. There is a reread. I read Crescent City, Sky and Breath, 5 stars. Moving on. Then I read Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling, and this book, first of all, I love having Gianna's writing back. We got about a year and a half where she wasn't writing, and her writing is just so beautiful. I've been obsessed. I think I picked her first up in like 2016, 2017, so it has been like 6 years since I've been reading her, and her writing is just so beautiful. And in this one, it's such a powerful story because it is a sapphic romance, but it centers around Lex, who was assaulted by a professor on campus that she really trusted, and she is not believed. Even there's like proof that it happened. People see her after she was left in the woods, like half naked, and they're basically telling her like, don't say anything. And so she threatens to sue if they kick her out. So she's like, I'm gonna stay, because that is like her dream school. She is so into like literature and education, and she's gonna stay. And so she has determined to get revenge on the men on campus who have wronged women, and also get revenge on the president of the college who doesn't believe her. By doing so, she is going to seduce her daughter. And it is actually her romance with the daughter. And the romance was just so powerful because Luna, the other heroine, she is dating the golden boy on campus. She's a golden girl on campus, but she is so attracted to Lex, and she is like grappling with her identity and living for herself for the first time, and all while fighting the stigma of women being silenced by men. It is such a powerful romance, and definitely enough angsty, spicy times, which I loved. A lot of times with sapphic romance, we either get like super cute or super dark, and I feel like this one was a really good in the middle, where it was just an angsty romance between them, and that's what I need in my sapphic romances, and it was so good. I love this. 5 stars. I could talk about it all day. Then on the same day, we had the release of Ashes of You by Catherine Cowles, and this one might be my favorite in the series, behind Echoes of You. I don't know which one I like better. I don't know. Ashes of You is the single dad nanny romance, and it is just so good from the beginning. It has the suspense I'm obsessed with. We have a serial killer. I'm obsessed. So the heroine had escaped a serial killer in the beginning, and the hero was actually the one who saved her. And she left town. She goes by Hallie now, and that's like a shortened form of her real name, and she sees that this guy is hiring for a nanny, so she shows up to interview, and she realizes it's the guy that saved her all those years ago, and he's like, oh my gosh, like if this is too much, like we don't even have to go forward with this. And she's like, no, I really want to, because she's trying to get out of her comfort zone, have a job, leave behind her really overbearing parents, and she ends up being his nanny for his 3 sons. And this book did kids so well. They were so fun, so unique, and really helped the plot of the story, which I appreciate. They're not just there to be like characters, they're actually there as part of the story. And I loved her relationship with Lawson. It was so good. He's the oldest brother. He finally has his romance, and they both have a lot in their past that they're trying to overcome. I was obsessed. And then we had the romantic suspense. So good. 5 stars. I love this book. Then next we have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. So I rated the entire series 5 stars. This one came out, I read it in a day. Tears fell. This was so good. I loved it. I didn't have too many expectations going in. I didn't have too many like crazy theories I was expecting. I just read it, and I loved the experience. I love all these characters. Lydia is my favorite character of all time now in this series, and I love the romance. I did definitely cry. During a particular scene, I'm not okay. It was so good. So good. I love this series. Do technically have like 2 days left of the month that I could read a 5-star read in, but it's fine. In February, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more 5-star reads, so we are already so much better than December. So the first one I read was Through the Glen by Samantha Young. I just love this one so much. I was so immersed in the story when I first started it. These are in Scotland, and they're technically small town. The heroine is very, very, very shy because of her past, and she works as a maid at this estate for rich people to like kind of hide out at. And she's actually a secret best-selling author, and she approaches the hero. He is a really well-known screenwriter, and she's like, hey, I have this really great book series I want to turn into a movie or a TV show. Can you help? And at first he's like, no. He is party boy. He is a player. He just doesn't take a lot of things seriously, but he's really, really good at his job, and he prides himself on writing his own material. So he can't stop thinking about her, and he reads her book, and then he flies through the series, and he finds her. She actually quits her job and moves into this little cottage to write and live, and he's like, I'm gonna do this for you. So he shows up, and they start writing together in her cottage, and then there's a little bit of romantic suspense, and they're falling in love, and I loved it. She opens up a lot about her past, why she's so just anxious and shy, and she's a really, really, really sweet cousin who's very protective of her, and he's a farmer, and I think he's gonna have the next book, and I'm very excited for that. But this one, so good. I love the series. 5 stars. Then I have a historical, The Notorious Lord Knightley by Lorraine Heath. This was so angsty, and you know Lorraine Heath is going to deliver on the angst. The hero and heroine were engaged, and we get flashbacks to when they were kind of courting each other. She is the daughter of a titled man, but with a mistress. So she is a bastard child. Her mother was a actress, singer, and her dad had a baby and had her. So she's always been very mindful of her reputation in society, and the hero is supposed to marry her, and then he leaves her at the altar. So she decides to go on this whirlwind grand adventure and travels all over, and people think that she just has all the affairs. And then we have present day where she's living in London again, and there is this secret book going around that's very scandalous about the things this couple does, and the hero knows she wrote it because it's about them. And he had broken up with her for a reason that is so heartbreaking and so good, and he just really, really likes her still, and they really were falling in love with each other when they were courting to marry, and she just thought like it was just the rug ripped out from under her. She's like, it was all a lie. So she hates him, and there's a secret that she's keeping, and it is amazing. It is so good. I gave it 5 stars. I was obsessed. I couldn't stop listening to this audiobook. Then I read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas, and I had so much fun with this. I finally am continuing on with the Throne of Glass series. This one was so good. It is an assassin story, and that's all I want to say because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but most people have read this anyways, but so good. I love this series, and I can't wait to read more. Then one of my new favorite books, The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I read this for a reading vlog. I can link down below. I am obsessed. The angst in this book was just like on another level. Obviously, I should have known because it's Elizabeth O'Rourke, and the heroine is a singer, and she is forced to go on vacation with her ex, and her ex is like, please, like, my mom's dying of cancer, just come with me, we won't do anything, but like I want a second chance, blah blah blah. So she comes to Hawaii, and her ex is not there because he is stuck in a foreign country because he had pot in his suitcase. So he is arrested, and she is now spending time with the family and the infuriating older brother who hates her, and it is their romance. So she has a romance with her ex's brother, and he is actually a doctor in, I think, Somalia, and so he is gonna go back, and there's no way he can leave. And so when they start falling for each other, it's a very desperate kind of romance when neither of them in their points in their lives can even be with each other. I love that. It's right person, wrong time. They fell so hard for each other, and it was just like they wanted to be there for each other so badly, and they couldn't. Oh my god, it's so good. I love this. 5 stars. Please read it. And then I read Unsteady by Peyton Corinne, and this one, the angst, the hero was injured at a hockey game, and he had a really bad injury, so now he has anxiety anytime he tries to skate. And the heroine is a figure skater, and she has early ice time, and she finds him in the middle of a panic attack on the ice, so she helps him through it, and she is actually taking care of her younger brothers because her dad is an addict. I think he's an addict, and her mom had left them, and so she's taking care of her brothers, trying to go to college, trying to skate, and it's their romance, and it is so, so good. She is so determined to not fall in love with him because of her circumstances and because everybody just leaves her, and he falls so hard for her. He falls so hard for her, and it was amazing. I love this book so, so much. Again, please read this one too. Then we have another hockey romance. We have Icebound by Meredith Trapp. This is actually a debut novel, and it was so good. I was so impressed. This one is an age gap. He's in his early 30s. She's in her early 20s. He is trying to leave a bad date and gets a car ride and from a car service, and she is the driver, and they end up getting into an accident, and her overbearing sister shows up who's dating her ex, and she acts like she was on a date with him instead, and so then they have to start fake dating, and because of the accident he gets this opportunity to have a sponsorship, and he needs her help to come to this sponsorship event, so they start fake dating, and he doesn't know how young she is because she lied about her age, and he is a really famous hockey player. He's at the time where he's thinking he should retire, but he's like, what is my life without hockey? So he kind of has an existential crisis, but they're so sweet with one another. She has a lot of anxiety, and he literally does things that it's like if he would, he could. And it was amazing. I love this. I love this so much. 5 stars. Obviously it's in this video, but so good. Okay, and then I have one more, and that is Where We Belong by Ashley Munoz. This is book 2 in her series. It's a motorcycle romance series. I loved Where We Started that I read last year, and this one is book 2. We did see the couple like kind of dance around each other in book 1. It is the best friend of the heroine of book 1 and her childhood best friend, and he is actually the new president of the motorcycle club, and he is terrified of her being in the club because of things he's seen in his past, and so he is constantly pushing her away, and she has a secret of her own, and she's actually living in his apartment on the club property, and things happen. So it is so good, so much push and pull, and like he literally doesn't like sleep with anybody or kiss them, and he's like, you need to kiss me. Like, the moments where I was swooning in this book were so good and I was obsessed. How many times have I said obsessed in this video? I don't know, but literally obsessed with this book. Please read the series if you haven't. I loved it. Okay, those are all the 5-star reads I read in the winter of this season. Let me know if you read these and what your favorites are, or what your favorites of the past few months are. I would love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.